Hey guys, how's it going? It's your boy M.K.S here, back in another video finally. It's been a while, and in this video I hope to talk about some of the reasons why, the reason why I haven't been online for a while or whatnot, or at least uploaded any videos for a while. So I went on holiday on a trip to Australia, all the way to Australia, which, as you might imagine, is a long way. It's about a day's long flight altogether. But yeah, with my family, or some of my family. Dare I say, because my parents are divorced, I've taken it literally. I suppose I have two sides of my family because not all of them live with me. So so I don't exclude those that don't live with me. I'll say some of my family or part of my family. But yeah, so we went over, me and my mum, and some of my siblings who don't live with us at the moment or whatever, went together, went at different times. But anyway, so we went to Australia. And it was quite a cool and interesting trip, although there were a lot of things that sort of went wrong or that I wasn't too happy about. So I thought I'd get some of those out of the way first and then talk about some of the positives. So I hope you find this video interesting, and it explains why I didn't upload videos for a while. But I'll try not to forget anything because my brain's a bit scatterbrained. But I think I probably have a bit of jet lag. But I've been back for like just under a week. I was going to say just over a week, but I think it was Sunday morning when I came back, and today being it's a Thursday, so it's just under a week. It's about half a week, I'd say. And the first night or two, we spent at least one night, if not two, in London with my mum's sister. So some sad news, really bad news, and I'll try not to get emotional or cry or anything like that, but I don't like to do that sort of stuff. But some sad news is, again, I will get the worst out of the way. My dog, Chief, or our dog, my family's dog, passed away, unfortunately. My stepdad called like the night before we were about to go, me and my mum, and I think he wanted us to know the news, obviously, before we get here. I thought maybe he could have waited till the morning, but because of the time zone difference, that might not have worked. So I think if he waited till the morning, we wouldn't have been so we wouldn't have had all night like thinking about that. But he got cancer, unfortunately. I didn't even know he was ill. I knew he had arthritis in the back legs, but I didn't know he developed cancer. So that was really shocking and sad news, because I was expecting, like, when I come back home, he's going to run straight up to say hello to me and all that sort of stuff. So that was really sad, and I was hoping it'd last for another 2 or 3 years with us. I regret that I didn't. Sometimes when I took him for a walk, because of his arthritis, he walked really slow, and I'm not the most patient, as I might seem patient, but I'm not the most patient. I always have so many goals and ideas I would work on, and so maybe I shouted at him and wasn't the most patient, and sometimes got angry with him. But I hope overall, me and my family gave him the best possible life that he could have had. Also, we're much better than people who deliberately abuse dogs or anything like that. So we definitely gave him the best, even though sometimes we'd shout at him. But that's just how you discipline a child, I suppose. But yeah, he loved him a lot and would always love him and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I'll try not to get emotional, as I say. But that's the worst bit of news, I think, to get that out of the way. I think I've covered everything on that point. But yeah, so my stepdad said that at the vets, they said they could perform an operation on him, but he might not make it through. And if he did, he would suffer quite a lot. He'd be in quite a lot of pain. So my mum said there's no point in putting him through that misery and prolonging the misery. So it was the best option so that he wouldn't prolong his suffering. So yeah, I thought I'd get that. That's the worst bit of news out of the way. So I thought I'd start with the negative and try and save the best points till last. But yeah, on my trip to Australia, I wish I was more organised. And yeah, moving on from that sad point, to think it puts things into perspective. Sorry, but yeah, on my trip to Australia, like, I didn't ask my mum till the last minute, and I'm not the most independent person. Like, I rely on my family quite a lot, hence why I have to go on holiday with my family and not by myself or whatever. So yeah, I don't want to sound ungrateful, because obviously it's a trip that not everyone can do, and it's pretty cool. But yeah, there was lots of positives, but I want to get the negatives out of the way first. So yeah, so I didn't ask her if I could use the laptop or bring my laptop to the last minute, and so I'm used to my passwords being saved on my Facebook and my YouTube and things like that, on my socials, if you like, whatever you call them, my social media accounts, or the only ones I use at the moment are Facebook and YouTube. But yeah, I'm used to having them on my saved on my laptop, so I didn't have those. So I tried to make a new account, but then it said it's suspicious activity, and it wanted to have my phone to like send a text. But my phone is a really basic phone, so yeah, Tesco mobile, Nokia phone, and all that kind of thing. So it's very basic. I only use it really to receive calls and to I don't even keep credit on it, but I use it for an alarm as well, or to tell me the time. So I've even had to update the time and all that kind of thing, the date and time and stuff like that. So yeah, so I was like kicked off Facebook because it thought I was doing suspicious activity because it was so similar to my actual password. So that's why I haven't been online for a long time on my Facebook or making videos. And I didn't manage to communicate or get in touch, basically to get in touch with and meet up with groups I wanted to, like Aboriginal groups. I'm friends with Aboriginal or member of Aboriginal groups on Facebook, and I wanted to meet them. Like I had this reporter's pad, and I wanted to like discuss with them and say, and sort of ask them questions and find out about the community and what their goals are and ambitions and dreams and what life's like for Aboriginals, and try to listen to them, most importantly, before I give them any advice or anything like that. But yeah, I would love to have done that sort of research, sort of informal research, but I think important research nonetheless. So I regret not having access to like get in touch with such communities. Also, my fellow Anglo Indians, AIs as I call us for short, or other Eurasian communities or other people of colour or minority groups, as well as dyslexics or other neurodiverse community members. I would have loved to have reached out to them as well, meet up with them and talk about like things like, for instance, how Anglo Indians could support Aboriginals, how other minorities could support Aboriginals, like whether that's financial or even just by listening to them, which I think is another way to support them, which I think is really important. I was thinking like, what ways would I support Aboriginals? And I think one way is to fund them, and one way is to like listen to them. I can't really think of much else. Like a lot of things I think are important to them are like their sacred sites, which might not mean a lot to me, but they kind of, I think their rights are important to me at the same time. But yeah, so I would love to have met with those communities. And also, I forgot saying some of the negative points. I did have a few arguments with my family or disagreements or things like that. And again, if I was more independent, or if I, in the future, I'd love to create lots of different groups like neurodiverse groups, people of colour coming together, or Anglo Indians or other mixed race groups, and others who have like shared interests, like-minded people who want to make the world a better place, for instance, or whatever. So we could work on specific topics, like if I create lots of different groups that travel the world and like educate governments or work with governments about like on how to tackle poverty, or how to listen to different groups, or how to make the world a better place, how to provide food for different people, and like Anglo-Indian or other mixed race groups or people of colour generally could talk about the value of, especially mixed race groups, I think, could talk about the value of neurodiversity and things like that. And I think neurodiverse groups could talk about the value of neurodiversity and the positives of neurodiversity. So I'd love to set up groups like that in the future. And one of the things I love to do now, if I go to a hotel or Airbnb or Airbnb or stuff like that, I probably shouldn't admit to this, because if any hotelier or Airbnb renter finds out, they might not be very pleased with the idea. But being honest and open, I would love to travel with those groups, and like to, if I stayed in Airbnb, I would like watch my YouTube videos in the background, so I give myself views, and also, and possibly other YouTubers that I support, like from Africa and Asia, developing countries, and that sort of thing. I would love to watch their videos in the background, like give them support, even watch like their playlists, if not my own. And like, as my channel is to hopefully help people in the long term, I don't think it's very narcissistic, but lost my train of thought, sorry. But yeah, so I'm sorry if I'm waffling, but John Bobbitt asked how are homosexuals treated in Australia. I don't really know. You have to ask someone from Australia or who lives there or whatever, but I'm not sure about that. But yeah, so I don't know about the LGBTQ sort of stuff. I don't want to be disrespectful to any community, but I don't know about that in Australia. To be honest, you'd have to ask any Australian can probably comment and answer that question. Because I don't live there, I can't really say, and I haven't really asked anyone. But yeah, so I'd say if I went to Airbnbs or hotels, like I would leave, because it's not my own electricity, being a bit cheeky, I would leave like the like leave my own YouTube channel or other people's who I support YouTube channel on in the background to give them views. Things like that. But yeah, I'd love to put those groups together. So if I went back to Australia in the future, what I would do differently is I would probably try and plan and be organised, which I did try and do, but because I didn't have my passwords, I couldn't get in touch with these communities and things like that. But like sometimes I was a bit shy to discuss my ideas. So I think my sister, like, she's a bit hyper. So she says she's self-diagnosed ADHD. So yeah, sometimes when I came up with an idea, she like seemed to shout a lot, and I was like too shy, too timid or whatever, too much of a chicken, coward or whatever, to discuss some of my ideas. But yeah, I'd love to plan them and stick to those ideas and like put those groups together and things like that. I always think that was something I was going to forget, but yeah, I'd love to meet. I'd love to in the future, like I say, if I went back to Australia, meet Aboriginal communities, Eurasians and other Anglo-Indians and other Eurasians, possibly other mixed race groups, diverse communities, people of colour, minorities, and people with disabilities, especially neurodiverse people with mental or physical disabilities perhaps as well, and like discuss our experiences and things like that, and like how we can support different communities, and also yeah, just like think tanks looking at how to make more equality or things like helping Aboriginals, for instance, in areas like STEM, science, tech, engineering and maths, or in business or areas, or again, listening to them as well, because they might not always be interested in business or money. They might just want something else in terms of rights. Like me, I have this mad idea or mad dream about Aboriginals having 10% of the property or land ownership, and like owning Airbnbs, hotels and other businesses, things like that, like car rental companies and things like that, or being involved in such businesses, and like having 10% of equity in all possible companies, possibly all companies in Australia and things like that, considering it was initially their land. And I would also love to meet fellow Italian football fans as well as fellow Celtic fans to discuss ideas to do with football, or as Australians would call it, just like the Americans, soccer. But yeah, so Serie A fans or Serie B fans even, and that sort of thing, as well as Celtic fans. I would have loved to have met like the boys down under groups, like Celtic football fan groups in Australia and things like that, for instance, Celtic sports groups in Australia, as well as Serie A fan groups and things like that. But I can't think of anything else, but my mind's all over the place, but I'll probably post anything in the comments that I can think of. But yeah, in the future, as I say, I would love to meet those groups, as well as going to different places and having different experiences and giving them a percentage out of 100. This trip, because of the fact that I forgot my password and I didn't manage to meet these groups and things like that, and things went a bit wrong at times. I didn't manage to do things I wanted to do as much. I think probably I'm being a bit harsh, but I'd probably give it like a rating of 30% because, but in the future, I'm sure that if I get these things organised, I think I'd probably give it closer to 100%. But yeah, so I can't think of much else to say. I'd love to hear your questions and think about what you would think about Australia. And if you've never visited Australia, would you like to visit? I think it's well worth visiting. I think there's some great places there, like the Great Barrier Reef. This time I didn't go there, but last time I went there, I went to the Great Barrier Reef, and also like last time I went to Sydney Opera House, or this time I didn't go to Sydney, I stayed in Melbourne. But it's pretty cool. Melbourne is very diverse. There's loads of food from different places all over Asia. Sometimes you can go to like Aboriginal experiences. This time I didn't do so, but last time I did. But yeah, there's loads of things to do. I think it's a great place. And I'd love to support Aboriginals, as I say, and different minority communities and that sort of thing. And I am out. Peace and love.